Yo, what's up everyone? Kyrios here, and today we're going to do a deep dive review of Frigg. Now, we did have the opportunity to actually test out a fully maxed out Frigg courtesy of some of our community members. Unlike the 0-star Frigg that I have on my free-to-play account, womp womp. But this gives us our opportunity to see that damage scaling, gives us the opportunity to see that the support scaling, and also allows us to test out huma, crows, and Frigg's Matrix. So if you guys can, hit that like and subscribe, go check out our Tower of Fantasy playlist, and let's get started. A little bit of a disclaimer. First, we're gonna have a little bit of a baseline. We tested this in bygones at around level 220, since there's no resistances and everything in there. Tried out a whole bunch of different characters and a bunch of different matrices. So this is going to be a little napkin mathy. It's not going to be min-max. It's not going to be perfect. We're going to have different buffs that are flying all over the place because these comps are kind of crazy with the amount of buffs you get. So, but I just wanted to, from the normal person, I just wanted to get a feel for which one I think is better. And I think we do have a feel for that. So we're going to break up each section down below, from huma to crow matrix to the Frigg Matrix. And then we're just going to compare some of those results so you guys can see some of that damage on screen. And then I'm going to review some of the gameplay in each of those sections. So let's get into it. All right, let's start with the huma matrix. Now, this is probably the matrix that everyone's going after right now. I did pair it with Samir in order to get that additional damage. It actually operates pretty good. So you can see in the beginning here, I'm just going to have to try and get the mobs together. You're going to kind of have to wait for them to get by. You can see all those extra damage procs that are going off, and they're hitting for anywhere between 1,000 or maybe sometimes even like 900 all the way up to about 2,000 on the lucky when it's stacked up. Now what I do love is that shatter. You see how fast that shatter was? Absolutely amazing. Kind of a bad gathering here. Can't really hit them all. A little hard to do, but that's okay. And we're just getting the baseline here, so we're just trying to get some raw numbers for me to put down. We're getting some nice explosions here. A big fat crit right there, 368. And just consistent damage across the board. Getting a lot of 2,000s from that huma matrix. And towards the end of this, there's a couple of numbers I would like to point out here. One, let's take a look at that frost domain explosion. As you can see here, we did get a crit on that frost domain explosion. Some of the numbers are hard to read, but we got 257,000 damage on that explosion in the top right hand corner. That's a lot of damage. Now the next one I want to point up is that Meryl damage. You can see that as we swap to crack that shield, Meryl crit off for 368,000 damage. That's insane. That's literally insane that Frigg can buff her to that certain of a degree. Now, finally, for our little spreadsheet, we do want to just get a baseline number. So I tried to wait till my frosty stacks were all the way up and as many buffs as I have at that buff bar at the bottom. And we're going to take those numbers on the right-hand side where you see the 5,800, the 5,900, the 5,600, and a few 2,200s. So I'm essentially going to take those 6 numbers as kind of our baseline for huma on the amount of damage that we're pumping out on a hit to see if we can do better with the other matrices. Okay, so we're going to use Samir and Crow's matrix here. Now, unfortunately, I do not think this is going to work very well with our current set of gear. That's just mainly because we're not at crit cap on our current gear, and it's just going to be very inconsistent in my opinion. But let's see what's going on here. Also, it's not going to really kick in to less than 60% as well, so we're going to struggle for the first 40%. Getting some decent hits. No crits on that ult. Had to follow it up with the skill. Still some decent damage there. There we go. We're starting to see some higher crits there. Still some 10,000s, 9,000s. Pretty good. Pretty good. Decent crit on that ult there. All right, I guess this was I didn't manage my discharging correctly on this run apparently. But that was a nice 128,000. All right, cracking off 77,000, 10,000. So seeing some good numbers in the back half here. Obviously seen some pretty big numbers. We'll have to figure out where we're going to actually gather that information from. Decent hit from Meryl there, but no monstrous crits on this run. I think that just has something to do with the synergy with these matrices. And there's a couple of unknowns there. So let's try and gather a little bit of data. And then you can see that run ended at 127, which was slower than our previous run. Now, we're going to take this screenshot as our baseline. We did get 2 crits on the right-hand side, 10,000.5, 10,000.5, 5,700. So we're going to round those. Now, once you get closer to about 66% crit cap, you should get close to 2 crits. So if we add those numbers in, you can see 2 crits with a normal hit with that Frigg the Crow gets about 26.5. Compared to that Frigg the Huma, it's just a little inconsistent. And obviously, this is not the best sampling of data. So please take this with a grain of salt. This is just initial play testing. Okay, finally, we have the Frigg Matrices, which seem to work the best for me. We had some pretty insane-o numbers on this one. Now, we didn't have really big numbers, but man, it just worked out a ton better than previous runs. So you can see a lot of shatter damage going on there. A lot of good damage. A lot of great damage. I think I saw 350-something thousand. There we go. There we go. We're back into the ulting. So just good damage all around. Saw a couple 12,000s. A big hit by Meryl. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And just look at that. 52 seconds. Now, I know that we got a really good image on that one, so that sped it up, and we just had some monstrous crits. Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights here. All right, first, we had a monstrous crit by Meryl, 372,000 damage. Then we had another great hit by the domain explosion, 273,000. Now, it's hard to get a direct number, but I think I'm going to take this number here, which is going to give us about 11,000, 7,000, 7,000. But the numbers were a little all over the place depending on the buffs. Now, that brings me to our closing argument. This is once again, this is very rough math. And what I was showing on screen were really just a multi-slash hits between Fuma to Crow to Frigg. Now, I did show the times. And we did show that Crow was the slowest, Huma was the second fastest, and then no one touched the Frigg Matrices. That's mainly because it's buffing that dot damage from the domain field. It's buffing your Meryl damage beyond belief. It's buffing just all your damage across the board. And one thing I do want to point out, I did have to swap weapons on the Frigg run. So we ended up changing from attack resonance to balance resonance, which actually lowered our damage by 20%. And we were still 24 seconds faster or something like that. So the Frigg Matrixes, by and large, just win just from an overall standpoint of the amount of damage you can whip out. And we almost hit 400,000 damage. So hopefully that helps you out, guys. Hopefully that helps you with your team builds. You can really use any Matrix. They're all pretty close from a multi-slashing perspective. And let me know in the comments, did you actually enjoy this? Did you should I have gone deeper into it? I don't even know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I will see you. Like and subscribe. I will see you guys on the next video. Fist bump from me to you.